Hey, Alpha fam, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Today I just want to go over QREDO just kind of briefly. I think I'm just going to try to make some of these videos a little bit more piecemeal. And so just take like a one bite and, and tackle one subject pretty clearly, and then maybe make other videos for other topics rather than bundling all of them together. I'm just going to try that. So let's see how this goes. Just to focusing on QREDO, of course, we have this kind of sloppy chart which, when I originally was talking about QREDO, I was suggesting that this was probably not the chart that you wanted to buy into. There was a variety of reasons for that, but without getting into those, as I've made a few other videos on QREDO, let's just take a look at how it's been reacting to the market as led by Bitcoin. So let's go ahead and superimpose Bitcoin's price over it. This pricing on the left here, that's Bitcoin, and this pricing is QREDO. So whenever you see this price on the left, it's always going to be whatever I'm overlaying. And if I just kind of highly manipulate the kind of like aspect ratio of the Bitcoin chart, then you can see how this pricing has affected QREDO. And one thing that you'd probably notice right off the bat is that Bitcoin has held up a little bit more strongly than QREDO. So overall, QREDO has shown weakness ever since here. And this was really the area where I was saying either we had to break up to here or you wanted to have a stop loss because this thing was going to dump in this kind of rising wedge pattern, right? And just to kind of show you what that would look like, these are the diagonals that I had drawn out. And it's pretty interesting, going back into this because I haven't moved these diagonals. You can go back into the previous videos and see I didn't move these diagonals at all. And take a look at this. This is interesting. I have not looked at this since I made these diagonals. But look at this. Right here, right here, right here. Look at this price action perfectly. Perfectly. Look at this price action. Perfect, perfect. Look at this wick. Perfect, 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 perfect. Where did it break down? Exactly where it broke down over here. Right here on that diagonal. And I drew this green line as the kind of final diagonal support, which it's actually a trend, right? I keep having to remind myself I'm not going to call it support. It's just trend, right? And I don't know how these bots work or what the algorithms are that they're, these, billionaires are hiring people to program into them. But just look how well they respected this kind of hypothesis that I made um, months ago. Months ago, right? I developed this hypothesis originally here and then I just projected it from there, even though I only had one data set. And then I attempted a confirmation here based on these wicks and this wick, right? And so I projected this and I suggested, hey, we have to get into this area to be bullish. If we can break out this way, we can do another run, just like when we broke out here. This was a failed one, but if we could succeed in it, then we could have a run. And that's why I advised people that, you could get ready for this asset because if the market turns bullish, this thing is positioning itself to go. And how would that look like right here, right? Like this kind of squeeze play right here. And the buy boxes that I had, of course, you would want to sell as long as we were under this squeeze play. And you would want to buy every time we get to the bottom of this kind of squeeze play curve. And of course, if we can achieve this area, then it could just go, right? It could just go. And so for your stop losses, you would want your stop loss right here. That's where I set it. And look at this breakdown right from there. It's almost like having a crystal ball, how I set this up with the diagonals, like having a crystal ball and reading the future, but from months ago, right? Months ago, we've been talking about this. And of course, we have validations and invalidations, right? So, I can't predict the future, right? That's not what trading is about. Trading is not about predicting the future. trading is about having a validation point, having an invalidation point, and then trading accordingly, right, to some type of a plan. And so you could get this trade or 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 this trade. And if you got validated here, which we never did in this buy box, we never reached this middle zone again. If you got validated there, you could have had one last chance to buy in before this breakout, then maybe some type of confirmation or something buy, and then potentially you could go. But of course, the market turned sour right as QREDO was preparing to go. And whoever was controlling this market, basically trapping people up here and then getting sell pressure from them to exit the market every chance they got, and then trapping people here, this kind of like stupid money that just they're just getting trapped by these kind of like bot algorithms that keep making you think this thing's bullish. You think it's bullish, you think it's bullish, you think it's going to the moon, and they trap you in there, and then they dump it, right? They dump it. They just destroy your ability to do anything in this asset. And that's what this market is, right? It's just a game of psychology. And so if you don't have this plan like in your head, if you don't think about these kind of diagonals and these type of squeeze plays and these type of buy and sell points and these type of validations and invalidations, then they're gonna get you. They're gonna get you. But I just wanted to admire how beautifully this has been playing out and how disciplined we've been in this asset. So, congratulations to anyone who's been following me on this. It's kind of a case study um, as you know, I don't give calls. I just try to go through the process of setups on very few coins so that we can kind of master them. And if it doesn't work out, then we try to go to an asset that makes more sense to us. But in this case, I felt I understood this token, and I felt that there was a lot of bias in the market, both on the FUDing side, because this is a great project. Nobody should be FUDing this project. The people involved in this project and the people who believe in this project, like they have a right to have those feelings. It makes sense. But feelings aren't what brings home, food on the table, right? Feelings aren't what gets it done. So we have to go with some type of a plan and stick to our plan. Now this squeeze play got killed off by the market, but because we stuck to the plan, we didn't get trapped. So we can go ahead and take off those, you can go ahead and take off those buy boxes. Just kind of look at this. I don't think I need this horizontal really. I think I can go ahead and put these ones on. So these are our horizontals here. And let's go ahead and just make these kind of dotted lines because it's just trend. Let's see, do I have anything else here? We don't need that. Yep, so we would have gone out of the market here. And of course, the reason for doing that is that this gap was just so huge. You saw how this thing just like spring loaded popped up here. Like if we had broken down here, I just knew that we would just fall all the way to this green line. And that's exactly what we did. And when we failed to get back above it, just like this little bump right here, I knew like we had to wait until the bottom and then it would have to validate again. But it didn't, it just broke down. And so where are we coming to? Back down here. I thought that I had more things drawn out, but that's okay. We might have some type of, critical support down here. I'm not sure because this is now in kind of a price discovery to the downside. which is not a good thing. And you know what's interesting is this fractal that I put out there. And a lot of people thought that I was just being too bearish by using these fractals. But to be honest, they can give you a good guidance in how the bots and how the big players in this market like move. And if you really look at it, I mean, it's not as far-fetched as, wow, like the price action like kind of gets trapped down here, and it looks like we're headed to that. So, yeah, I mean, look, this fractal, I mean, honestly speaking, I have two of them here because I don't know, one might be more bullish, right? One might be more bearish. And it doesn't match perfectly. This popped up while this broke down. So, fractals, you can't trade off of fractals. They're just there to like guide you. But you see how the price action kind of ranges between this range that I have up here before going off. And you see how the price action kind of like breaks down into this area before it recovers. And you see how it just kind of has this chop in this area. I mean, like what more could you want from a fractal? Like I almost think like, and this is where we have to control our own personal bias because we're going to get into this area maybe. I mean, we're already there. We're already in the area that my fractal predicted that we would come down to, which is extraordinary, right? And so I'm going to start getting super bullish and, considering to accumulate if we get any lower on this asset because, my fractal just tells me that the magnitude of these ranges being proportionate to the diagonals that I have drawn out here, and the fact that this fractal like respects the levels that I have drawn out, and that these diagonal levels also conform to, our horizontal supply and demand zones, right? Like this is a breakout and then comes up here and retest this one. And this fractal area down here like comes and tests these like weekly supports. And then we don't actually get really into this area, but if we do, of course, I'd buy. But suggest that this might be the bottom. I don't know. This, like, things could go worse than we thought, right? Like maybe this thing does, break down here. But would I really be that greedy to wait for this area, like this, because this is price discovery to the downside? Or would I just trust my fractals, which has been working out really well? And would I trust my intuition, which suggests that, you know, $1.30 to $1.60 is a really good zone to buy. If we do get into this area, it's just even better, even better. There's no rush. There's no rush. I don't feel rushed. Take your time to decide. Don't let people push you into something. This isn't a cult. It's just an asset. If you feel emotionally attached to this asset, don't trade it. If you have any emotions regarding this asset whatsoever, don't trade it. You should not be trading any asset that you feel emotionally attached to. If you want it or you want to believe in it, that kind of thing, just forget it and move to trading another asset because you're going to emotionally bias your positions. And then if you start champing it, you're going to, perhaps influence others in the wrong way. And I've seen people do that. I've seen people just wreck other people by being moon boys or doom boys. And like for example, the doom boys, I'm talking about like crypto Twitter. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about crypto Twitter, where there's like thousands of people. There's not just like one person or whatever, okay? It's not about any one person. It's collectively, like these people like bias each other through the conversations that they have. No one should be fudding this project, but also we don't have to talk unrealistically about it. Just validations and invalidations and sticking to a plan, right? Having a plan. So yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to be able to potentially get in on these levels. And The thing that's kind of scary is that there is no price action down here, and so we don't actually know how low this thing can go. This thing could go as low as it needs to go. The good thing is that there's a lot of price action up here, and so at some point people may just want to stop selling it. And because it is a good project, it is like one of those blue chips, it will probably hold its value in the next bull run, right? So this is one of those blue chips that may be safe to accumulate during a bear market. And that's not financial advice, that's just how I'm thinking about it right now. And I learned about this asset through my mentor, QREDO. And we always confess our weaknesses to each other. And in his group, AR Collective, we try to be really honest about our own weaknesses. And so, for example, I don't leverage trade because I do have an emotional aspect that I haven't fully mastered yet in trading. And so, I'm glad to be looking at these things for spot. And, if we make a mistake, like for example, I was really bullish on this asset up here and I could have gotten trapped in here accidentally. Luckily, I didn't, but I could have gotten trapped up here. And then I would have been one of those people having sell pressure all the way down because I would have been so desperate to get out of my position. But luckily, I sold most of my bag around here, and then I sold the rest of my second buy-in. Like I sold it here, and luckily I got out. But had I not, I would have been so desperate to get out. I probably would have been one of those people who are just, contributing to the sells pressure as we get into a bear market. And so spot is emotional enough for me. Maybe in a year I'll be, I'll have controlled myself enough emotionally and be so detached from my coins enough that and also losses and your greed and your fear, that type of stuff, um, in order to do leverage. But yeah, if we take just a little bit more of a look at this, of course, these were the signals that I did get where you would want to buy, but that's kind of moot right now. I'm not getting those signals yet. Uh, yeah, I guess I could talk about that, but let's use this one. Let's use this one. Let me get rid of these diagonals because this isn't really relevant for this discussion. That one can stay on. Let's put on the horizontals though. Yep, because the horizontals match this stuff more. So one of the things that I'm looking at here on QREDO, which could be kind of bad news, is first of all, it's incredibly easy to trade. This was an inverted head and shoulders, and then the measured move was right here. This was this was going to be a failed head and shoulders, like a fake out, right? Like a fake out head and shoulders, where the measured move would have been on top of the shoulder. That's why I was so bullish, because I thought like we could come up here. At least we could come up to like 12 bucks and then perhaps work our way up to 25 bucks based upon the fail, because this is an invalid head and shoulders. But the market turned sour, right? The market turned bad. And so it became a valid head and shoulders. And the price action just broke the neckline. And then the measured move down was this move right here. So basically, it was just easy to know where it would go. And that's why I sold here, because I knew that if this became validated by a weak market, that the measured move would be down here. And so while everyone was saying, "Don't worry, guys, just like hodl," I was like, "Nope, I'm out." Yeet, right? Like, get the F out because we're gonna conduct the measured move here. And then over here, I was a little bit reluctant because we were putting in this kind of like a head and shoulders formation. And I was thinking two ways. Well, it could invalidate and we could have a measured move up and perhaps we're gonna pop up, or it could have this measured move down. Well, look what happened. Again, QREDO operates on diagonals. And so the measured move is basically this right here. And we're pretty much playing that out. I don't know if you can see that. We're pretty much playing it out. And so this move, I told you, it could take weeks or even months, because if you have a weekly setup, it could take weeks or months to play out. If you have a daily setup, it could take days to weeks to play out. If you have an hourly setup, it could take hours to days to play out, right? So there's always this possible of an exaggeration. And that type of, market can be temporarily bullish as Bitcoin was going through its kind of rising wedge. It kind of dragged QREDO with it, which led to the fake out of that squeeze play, which was kind of a fake out squeeze play. And because, of course, Bitcoin got rejected, right? Bitcoin got rejected at its channel fib, and then it brought every alt down with it. But this was all probable with QREDO, because QREDO follows these kind of like head and shoulders movements. And if you take the measured move from here, that would have predicted that we fell right down to this level. And look, we fell directly down to that level. Like, it's no mystery. You could just easily see if you broke this area and if you had your diagonals on, then you would know you were going to test here. And, let's zoom in. Let's zoom in even more. Let's go to the 4-hour. Well, what just happened, right? The reason why I was considering to get into this trade was only if we had broken up here, kind of retested it, or at least held it. And then I was thinking, okay, like we could pop up to here. Like we could pop up to here or even more, right? And so that would be a, 15% or whatever move, right? It could be a 15% move. But we would have to validate it by breaking this horizontal resistance. We never broke that horizontal resistance. You see, just kind of poke a little bit, but we never broke through it. And so I didn't take that trade. And what I understood intuitively just by having like looked at this chart so much is that what we had is another head and shoulders pattern. And I'm telling you, like literally that's all that QREDO is. Like QREDO is just like nothing but head and shoulder patterns. And what was the measured move on that? Oh, look, where are we ending up? Oh, look, right here. I mean, that was just either we were going to have a breakout to the upside and then we were going to validate it and like launch, or this head and shoulders was going to break down. And as soon as you saw the weakness on the charts, you could see the head and shoulders being formed. And you don't need to play that game, right? You don't need to play that game. This is just a, I mean, it's 9%, that's good, but this has been incredibly weak, right? This asset has been incredibly weak. And Bitcoin was in a very fragile place here, so just wasn't worth the risk. And the reason why I would say it wasn't worth the risk, and this is a little bit more controversial, but it's because I do see the potential for this head and shoulders to still play out, which is this move here. So we're kind of in that zone, but if we got to down here, if we got to like, anywhere under this dashed line, I would feel more comfortable about this asset just because of like how reliably this thing breaks up and breaks down. For me, I don't think it's broken down enough yet. And then I have this kind of ridiculous, almost of a joke. It's almost a joke where on the monthly, there's this kind of cup and handle, which cup and handles are very similar to like a head and shoulders, right? It's very similar to head and shoulders. And you can see like here's the cup and here's the handle and the measured move for it, right? The measured move for it would bring it, down here in this area to like 80 cents. Do I think that's what's gonna happen? No, I mean not necessarily. But then again, I didn't really think that this was going to break down below $2. I just felt like, come on, QREDO, like hold $2, like you built up this support, like come on, like be the fake out, right? And then turn around. But it all depended on Bitcoin. And so if Bitcoin does have a breakdown, like just a total breakdown, then I could, I mean, as ridiculous as it seems, I could see QREDO like playing out this cup and handle to the downside. As ridiculous as that seems, I could see it happening in a true bear market, in a true like kind of crypto winter type of situation, coming down to this support right here, and basically starting over again at 80 cents. And if not, then just in a kind of rough, extended bear market, then I could see it coming down to this $1.20. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to be a buyer big time in these areas. I'm going to be a buyer big time because I do like this project. And, you know, hey, even if you were someone, who got kind of, you know, um, trapped in various levels, the thing about selling when you break down, like, why would you want to sell here, right? Let's say that you bought up here, thinking it's going to be just a bullish retrace and going to keep going. Let's say that you bought right here and it started to pump up, and so you like added to your position. Why would you want to sell here? Because the difference between this price and this price is smaller than the difference between this price and this price, right? And so if you can fall lower, you can actually get the same amount of coins or more for the price that you end up buying at this level. And then if this level ends up breaking, just go ahead and do it for the next level because you end up with the same amount of coins or more. And so you can actually end up, even while you're falling, falling every level, like you can end up with more tokens than if you just freaked out. But the thing that you have to do, and this takes a lot of discipline and to overcome fear, the thing you have to do is you do have to sell as soon as you start breaking down, because you can't sell like halfway down. You're gonna mess this up, and you can't like buy back like here or here. I mean, like technically, if you had bought back here and you sold here, like yeah, you would be ahead in your number of coins, but a lot of people might buy up here, and so then they're actually going to have lost. But as long as you can, sell in the beginning of that drop and buy like on the very first confirmation of support, then you've already increased your number of coins, or you've reduced the cost of your coins, assuming you bought the same amount. And then if you offload them at a bounce and you buy back at a retrace, then you could even be in profit, even if you had, bought up here. Because maybe the price difference here is the same as the price difference here. So that negates. And then the number of coins that you have, like these coins, were actually cheaper than these coins. So you're happy that you sold here and bought here, right? Like technically, like you sold high and bought low. And so this type of a strategy, when breaking down, can actually end up making you money, right? Charts don't just move up or down. And that's why you don't want to be a moon boy on any of these type of assets and just hold forever. Like whoever was holding from up here forever, like they got screwed. These guys who like were following my plan, right? Like they're able to buy back almost at the prices that QREDO was originally. And why would you want to do that? Because there's like a, 6 to like 8x that's possible there. And in the next bull run, maybe even more, right? Assuming that we recover these levels. And yeah, I think that's all that I want to go on about this one. Um, it's not really to like brag about anything, although I did pretty much nail this one. Um, I did get a little bit bullish, but it was logical to get bullish there. And again, as long as you have, your stop losses and your validations, because this was the breakout validation. We never reached there, and so I never became a moon boy or anything. And then this was like the last stop buy-in, and we never actually reached that level. We almost did, but and we could have potentially, but actually we ended up breaking down. That candle never finished the day, in that zone. It actually broke under it, and then we were on stop loss watch, right? And so we would have just sold out here. And so by sticking to the plan, we did a good job. And also the power of these diagonals. I mean, just look at how this is crawling up that diagonal. Look at how this crawls along those diagonals, even the wicks. Look how this crawls along those diagonals. Look how this has just been limited by those diagonals, right? This is why I'm a diagonals trader along with EMAs, which, these aren't like horizontal lines either. These are wavy. These are like even worse than like diagonals, you know what I mean? In some respects, because it's very hard to visualize where they might end up unless you have an intuitive understanding of, your EMAs. And right now it just looks very ugly, right? We're underneath the 10, just just cascading down. And so we're looking for support, and I'm hypothesizing that support is somewhere around $1.40 right now. Could be higher. Could be these wicks up here. So, maybe $1.50. We're right now at this wick right here, which is $1.65. So even that's a good value. But yeah, anywhere between here and, I mean, I hate to say it, but this is possible. Right? I would hope that this would be our ultimate low. This 80 cents. Yeah, see? This weekly support, it lines up with that cup and handle, which is very eerie confluence. Very eerie confluence. Yeah, I didn't even see that. But yeah, so who knows? This kind of smaller head and shoulders could break down to $1.20. Right now, we are on kind of a diagonal support, depending on how you draw it specifically. But I think I actually reworked this. This was just an estimate from a long time ago. Same with this one, and it doesn't have confluence with anything else. So, yep, those are my diagonals. And yep, yeah. So you see the confluence from this like local area head and shoulders. It breaks down to here, and then this bigger cup and handle breaks down to here, and that has confluence with, yeah, that's just too perfect. Just too perfect. Right here, it has confluence with the weekly candles right in the very beginning of this asset. So I think I can move, well, let me make a copy so I have a record. You don't know where you're going to end up, but this chart is telling me that it is possible to get into this kind of an area. And then this chart is also telling me that right here is a pretty nice area. Let's see, where is this support coming from? Why do I have this one? Maybe that wick? Yeah, that doesn't really make sense. Maybe right here. Yeah, $1.50. Probably just accidentally moved it. So assuming that we don't get down to this area, then, we're in a good spot here just in case we do turn around. It's gonna go ahead and keep those on the table. And hopefully we never break under this area because it's gonna get pretty ugly underneath there, potentially. Let's see. Don't really need any of these other things. All right, that's it for QREDO. That was your alpha for the day. Stay safe and happy trading.